And welcome, disc golf friends, to Par Save Productions' final round coverage of the 2018 Ledgestone Insurance Open presented by Discraft. This is a Disc Golf Pro Tour event, the number 8th event on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Here we are, hole 1, par 4, 633 feet over the water. I am your commentator on this video, Nate Doss. I am solo today. And first on the tee is Ricky Wysocki. The last 2 world championships are held by Ricky. And Ricky with a nice big throw there. Ending up in, well, still going and getting worse, but in good position there for hole 1. Being on 3 of our 4 cards that we've done this week, Nikko Locastro. And Nikko pures one over the corner here. You know, this is the final round of the tournament, and these guys are not a factor in who's going to win this year's Ledgestone Insurance Open. And it's always a tough thing as a player to find a little bit of motivation in that final round. James Conrad leaving it a little bit left. James has a big arm, but we don't know about, well, nowhere near. Sorry, James. Last but not least, here we are, big turnover. Good shot there. Good shot there. He'll have a pretty far uphill shot there, but good look at birdie. James has to go to the drop zone. Again, back at the Memorial Championship, I dubbed James Conrad Gumby. He's a big, lanky guy, got a huge arm, big flowing hair. Fun guy to watch, fun guy to be around, really. A lot of good things about James. Nice upshot there, inside the circle. See a little bit of a crowd here following these guys. The three big names here with Nikko and Ricky and James. So it's nice to see a little bit of a crowd. And of course, the crowd excited for this championship Sunday. These players will, even though we talked about potentially not being in it, they still are motivated to play well, win as much cash as they can, and head towards the next event. Nice putt there by James Conrad. The slow-mo. See that hair, that green shirt? He loves that green shirt on Sundays. Nice job, James. Good par save. Crowd likes it. There we go, Nikko. Nikko starting off on the right foot today. First round wasn't so good. Second round was great. His third round wasn't great either. Shooting par, or actually shooting over par in yesterday's round. So it's good for him to get off on a good start. Ricky with the red backwards hat today. Dubbing the red shorts and the gray shirt. Like Tiger Woods. And that putt stays in on the left side. Not a bad start for these guys on this hole. Very, very nice start to the round. We're going to head over to the very difficult hole 2. This is a par 4, 615 feet. Water on the left, OB on the right. We want to thank Airborne for their use of the drone this week. Really nice to have the drone footage, and we appreciate Kale offering to let us use it, and him and his team up in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. In fact, Par Save Productions is also from Minnesota, so if you're up in that area, give Craig and his team a holler. They're doing a good job covering disc golf. Ricky going with the roller. This is the aggressive play on hole 2. He went OB left yesterday in the water and has gone OB right here in the final round. Nikko taking the more conservative sidearm route. I really like this play by Nikko. I think this is a good play on hole 2. Puts you in a position to be in a possible position for a birdie, but really this is a par hole. A birdie is a huge bonus. Sort of avoid the big mistake. Nice shot down there with a backhand. See what James has for us. Going with the controlled backhand up the middle. Those pine branches that James just went below do become a big factor on this hole, and it's one of the reasons that we see so many different types of shots the players trying to avoid those. And that shot will be just fine. He'll get his par, most likely, which is what he's looking to do. Avoid that big mistake and move on to the next hole. Decent shot by James. Nikko trying to play that hard flex with something overstable, but it stays out to the right. Nikko might be blocked off there on that right side. There is like a juniper type tree or like a cypress or a cedar. Sorry, how many names can we say? And that's the one that just went under there. And yeah, it is going to affect his putt. Still going to try to get it. We saw Paul Macbeth roll it in the water in the second round from that same angle. So Nikko a little bit lucky there to avoid any kind of mistake early on in the round. Boy, and James was a little aggressive there, but that is in bounds. He is out of the water. Ricky saving his par. James for par. I think these guys did a good job here on hole 2 today, avoiding any kind of major disaster. We saw 3 birdies on hole 2 yesterday from our card, and I just think it's one of those holes that you want to avoid any kind of major issues and move on to other holes where you can be much more aggressive and get birdies much easier. All 4 days, wind really hasn't been a huge factor at the Ledgestone Insurance Open this year. The players are happy about that. We can see there all pars on hole 2 here in the 4th round, final round of the tournament.
Some swirly vultures.
If you didn't know, Discraft is made in America. I said it right there. Hole 3, par 3, 260 feet. First par 3 of the round. Very gettable birdie. We've seen a lot of birdies on this hole. One of the easier holes, although you can kick out of bounds left, off the trees. So avoid the trees, stay up the middle, and get your birdie. And that's what Ricky is going to do here in the final round. Now, there's something about the overall length of the tour and how important the final rounds do become to these players. It gives them a good boost of confidence heading to the next week. It's always nice to finish on a high note. Beautiful shot there. These players do play disc golf for a living, and when they can play well, it always makes that next week a little bit easier. Great shot by James Conrad, hitting the basket. Where I come from, that'd be $1 from his group, each person. But I doubt these guys are worried about that today. Good run by Nikko. It was a long putt for him. And we see 3 birdies here on hole 3. Nice job by the players. They'll head over to the tough 4th hole. Very difficult par 3, but it is hole 4. The tap ins here. Darn near a star frame on hole 3. Nice job. They made it look easy. That hole's not as easy as it looks, but they made it look easy today. And here we are. Here is that tough par 3, hole 4, 423 feet. Even though it's 423 feet, a putter can be used on this hole because of the severe slope on the second half of the hole. It's quite downhill. The basket's perched up on a little hill, making all types of different putts a challenge, really, no matter where you are. Ricky drifting a little bit to the right on that one. We didn't see where it turned out, but I think he ended up in bounds. And just a little bit short on the left. That's a fine shot, actually. It's a pretty good shot. Probably a layup from that position, but that's okay on hole 4. It's a good idea on this hole to throw a slower flying disc. try to keep it on that left side and bend it back to the right, like Nikko's doing, but does he have it straight enough or long enough? And he doesn't. He skips into the woods on the left side. Can't see who that is, but I think that's James Conrad throwing the roller. Gutsy little shot there. Turned out okay. Ricky did end up in bounds. He must have hit a tree, kicked left, and makes a nice up shot. Here's James after that little roller out of the woods. Still outside circle two. The crowd watching. Seems like James is going to go for this one. And the basket saves him. He would have been at least 20 feet past had he missed that basket, but he did hit it, kept him close. Just as I thought, a layup from that position. I'm sure we're going to see a go for it from Nikko. Great camera view here. Oh, just hit the front of the basket. I'm going to see a bogey here from James Conrad and 3 pars. For me, it's always called Championship Sunday, even if you're not winning a championship. But for me, it was always a little mini challenge to try to beat my group on that last day. And again, build that confidence for the next week. 3 pars and 1 bogey. Here we are, hole 5, par 3, 476 feet. This is the baseball field hole. You're basically throwing over the baseball field the entire way if you want to get the birdie, or you can play to the right, make the hole a little bit easier on yourself, but you do give yourself a longer second shot. Ricky's going to take the aggressive route. I think he hit the power pole, possibly, but ends up inbounds. A little bit lucky there for Ricky. We're seeing here, this is the safer shot, playing out to the right. Keeping it inbounds, but he's leaving himself about 100 feet or so to an elevated basket up on our sponsor's elevated basket podium. Nikko, that looks like a beautiful drive, nice and soft, and the crowd likes it. Got to mention all the Discraft banners there. Discraft is the main presenting sponsor of the Ledgestone Insurance Open, been a sponsor of mine for a very long time. But we do thank them for their support. James, one-upping Nikko by a foot or two. Nice shot. And here's that upshot I'm talking about. A little bit of a breeze. We can hear it on the mic. Throwing something overstable, digging it into the grass. Handled that nicely. Ricky with the hat off. Leaves it a little bit short. A birdie for Nikko. And I don't know if you can notice it, but it is a Sunday at a big tournament. There's just more of a crowd. There's more of a buzz. We're hearing the crowd cheering for these guys, keeping them motivated. Oh, and that's one thing that can happen, obviously, in disc golf. Anything can happen. Ricky sort of took that putt for granted, left it a little bit high. He'll definitely be frustrated. I know Ricky. I know him very well. He'll be frustrated about that, but the one thing about a great putter is they move on to the next one, and they usually make the next one. So we'll look for Ricky to make a big putt coming up here in the next few holes. But that was hole 5. Played that hole pretty well, and a little unfortunate for Ricky on the basket. We do thank all those sponsors that support the Disc Golf Pro Tour, support our players. Hole 6, par 4, 897 feet. Long par 4. We are playing to the left-hand basket today, which is a little bit closer to that OB on the left, slightly longer. It really is my opinion on this hole, and we've talked about it all 4 rounds now. that really the tee shot is really just a position shot. And James is taking a little bit more of an aggressive line, staying on that right-hand OB line. But ultimately, it's just about being in a consistent spot where you practiced, and so that you know how long you have into the green on the second shot. We've seen a lot of players play this hole for par, and we've seen players be aggressive. And we saw Josh Anthon yesterday take a quadruple bogey 8 on this hole after going out of bounds 2 times in a row on his second shot. So we'll see what these players have for us. He's going to be looking to go right over towards that birdhouse. Yep, there's the one right there. It's about an 80 to 100 foot upshot from that position. One thing that takes professional disc golfers above and beyond just the regular guy that plays on the weekends or on the weekdays is that they prepare. They go out there, they figure out what shots work, and then of course you have to make the adjustments with the weather, never knowing where you're going to be, never knowing what's going to necessarily happen. Great shot by Nikko there, and a nice shot by James too. Great throws by those guys here in the final round, staying aggressive and executing the shot just as they envisioned it. Ricky's hoping for the same. Going a little wide. Just missing the cameraman, but bringing it inbounds. Really nice shots by those 3 players, showing their class and how confident they are even in the last few holes of the tournament. That did stay inbounds. And a little low for James. See if Nikko can cash in on his great second shot. Oh, just a little bit right. We call that the swing out. Hits on the right side, flattens out, swings up and over the rim. And Nikko's not happy about it, walking it all the way in, finishing out. Here we are, hole 7, par 3, 275 feet through the woods. Very gettable birdie hole. One of the holes that the players are really wanting to get it because we have some really tough holes coming up forward for them. Nice opportunity to get a birdie. A little flick of the wrist for Ricky. Takes a little kick, but yeah, he'll make that putt. Nikko playing more of a flex. Keeping it a little bit too far to the left. Gumby, James Conrad. Good kick on that branch and the tree. Unfortunate to hit that tree. Just not an execution. But executed that shot nicely. And he will par this hole. Nikko did go a little bit too far left, hit an early tree. And always thinking he's going to throw it in no matter where he's from, where he's at. James, beautiful putt, right into the heart. Remember, folks, putt through it, not to it. And James showed perfectly what that looks like on that putt. See what Ricky Wysocki has here. Good putt by Ricky, and that's a 2-time world champion, 2 in a row. He missed a short putt, but he came back with 2 straight birdies. Of course, you never want to have it happen, and the best way to avoid those things is just not let it happen, but sometimes it does. You got to forget about it. Couple birdies, couple pars. We're going to head over to hole 8. That goat wanted no piece of that putt. Hole 8, par 4, 793 feet. Tough shot out of the gate. You have to get through an opening over a creek, into a big field, but then back into a tight green, and the drone shows us here we have water on the left, thick woods on the right. Tough birdie hole, as most of the par 4s are on this Lake Eureka course that Nate Heinold and his team have put together. Ricky smashing that one up there on the right. He'll have a sidearm probably into the green from there. James getting aggressive and going over too far to the right, and he ended up OB on that. He'll proceed to the drop zone. Nikko bending it perfectly through the gap. And I know from experience standing on this tee, I always felt like I was going to hit that gap. But there is a little bit of nervous energy as you step up to a hole like this. We didn't see anything from the spotter there, but I think he ended up in bounds. James now feeling a little bit behind on this hole. You can see he's barely in bounds up against the OB line on the other side of the creek. Not in a position to go for the birdie, just laying it out there in the middle. We've seen Nikko play this hole aggressive all the time, and he did a good job there. That's a nice shot by Nikko. Just like we thought, Ricky throwing a sidearm from that right side of the fairway, leaving it just in the woods. He will have a putt from there, but with water directly behind the basket, can definitely be a little bit nerve-wracking. I think Ben mentioned it yesterday, seeing the hardening up around the baskets. This is a temporary course that they've made permanent. Nice putt by Ricky. And now we have 3 good putts in a row after that short miss putt back on hole 5. Good putt there, but we are seeing this is a temporary course that's made permanent for the event. And now that we've seen so much play on it over about a week's time, we're seeing a really hardening up around the baskets, making it a little bit more difficult. And who knows, that might become a factor in the tournament for the lead guys and even for this group as well. Not too bad for these players. Here we are, hole 9, the last hole of our front 9 coverage here. Par 3, 354 feet. This is the bridge hole. They're teeing off actually off of the bridge, and they have to land on the island, otherwise they have to go to the drop zone. Even though this is a hole that, looks and feels like is scary, I know that these players want to get this birdie. The pin's on a little bit of an upslope. Can throw sort of that looked like it was a slow flying disc, which we don't see a whole lot of. We usually see, either fairway drivers or even high-speed drivers for some of the players. And Nikko showing why maybe a driver might have been a little bit better there. He ended up short OB. He'll have to proceed to the drop zone. Steven going and hitting that back wall, staying in bounds. He'll have a birdie putt from there after he takes his meter. Last but very not least, James. You can see James throwing a slow flying disc, but had to throw it really, really hard. But he is right there for the birdie. I got to mention, I really like Nikko's shirt today. It's good color on him. Looks good. All right, well, he'll have his opportunity to get a bogey from there. Nikko's frustrated, holding it in pretty well. I gotta say, Nikko is a player that I've played with a whole lot in my life, and he's animated, he's enthusiastic about what he does, but sometimes he uses that fire to play a little bit better. This is final round, fourth round coverage, front nine coverage of the 2018 Ledgestone Insurance Open. Thanks for watching with us. We will have the back nine available as well, so just go ahead and click watch the next video, and we'll see you over on the 10th. But we do appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I know these players enjoy it as well. So we appreciate it, and we'll see you on the back nine.